When it comes right down to it, you kind of already know how to give a public speech. Because if you've ever had a conversation with a friend, you know how to communicate. You know how these things work. And this is explained through the dialogic theory of public speaking. Now, the dialogic theory of public speaking says that all communication can be viewed as a dialogue, as happening between two or more people, or between a sender and a receiver or group of receivers. Now, it's very easy to think of a public speech as more of a monologue rather than as a dialogue, because you are standing up in front of a group of people and kind of just doing your bit and then sitting down when you're done. So it's very much like a monologue in a play where you're just kind of saying your part. But it's not like that at all, because you are saying your part to a group of receivers who are sending you feedback, as we saw with the transactional model of communication. So communication, or rather public speaking, is a lot more similar to interpersonal communication than we realize. And the average adult spends something like 30 or 40% of their waking hours in conversations. So you already actually know a lot about public speaking, right? You know how to organize your thoughts logically. For example, when we tell stories or give directions so that they make sense. You already know how to tailor your message to an audience, right? You're not going to tell your mom the same story about your Saturday night that you would tell your friend. So we're telling very different messages to those very different audiences. So we know how to do that already. And we also know how to adapt to listener feedback, right? That's where that dialogue comes in, because the listener is sending us feedback, non-verbally, but it's there. They are nodding their heads to show that they agree with us or that they understand, or they are making eye contact with us to show us that they're interested, or else they are furrowing their eyebrows to show that they don't understand and that we need to explain something more clearly, right? We already know how to do these things in conversation. We just have to translate them into the more structured and formal world of public speaking. So we also have to realize that the meanings of our words are not in the words themselves, but rather in the people with whom we share those words. So you and your audience might differ in how you both see your speech, but the meanings of words have to be mutually agreed upon. As speakers, we have to do our best to create our messages and taking our audience into account to make sure that we are sending a message that they are going to receive well, and that it is the message that we intended them to receive. Now, it's impossible to predict how every single member of your audience is going to receive your message. But we know that using certain language in front of audience A is going to go off a lot better than using that same language in front of audience B. So we have to take the audience into account in every single aspect of public speaking, much like we do in conversation. So the dialogic theory basically just says that we have to view communication as a dialogue rather than a monologue. It's not just us getting up in front of an audience and doing our bit. They are responding to us. And so thinking about public speaking as being similar to conversation, everyday conversation, can be really helpful to a lot of novice public speakers.